Hello, Laura J. here with Michael Seegers for the fourth episode of the Michael and Laura Show, where we will be diving into the chart of the I Am Presence. Michael is going to give an explanation that can help every level of person coming into the teachings of the Ascended Masters to understand what all goes into the chart of the I Am Presence. So Michael Seegers, please take it away.
Thank you. We call this the chart of the I Am Presence, or the chart of the Divine Self. This is a diagram that was given to us by the Ascended Master Saint Germain about 100 years ago. And it really is a depiction of our spiritual anatomy in 7 dimensions. And this is where the expansion of consciousness begins, because we are accustomed to a 3-dimensional experience, and that is represented by the figure here at the bottom. This is the physical plane. This is the physical body. This is the vehicle that we inhabit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are inhabiting a physical vehicle, this human body, this body temple. It's the house of the Lord. And what the masters want us to come to really understand is we are so much more than that. And if you ever ask the question, where is my soul? Because it's not the same as my brain, and it's not the same as my mind, and who am I really? Really, I am an individualized expression of the universal I am, that is the one being that exists throughout all of creation. And you can call that being God, you can call it source. It's the universal consciousness that is the fabric of the universe, both physical and spiritual. And so in this diagram, we're looking at the source level of consciousness here in the upper figure in the planes of spirit. Down here is the planes of matter. And here at the very center is the I Am Presence. It's the I am that I am, the individualized expression of the oneness of being that God is. We're all part of God. We're all divine beings, just a drop in the ocean, but having all the same qualities, characteristics, and potential that God has. We are that I amness. And the I Am Presence is surrounded by, we see these beautiful colored rings, which are actually spheres. They surround the I Am Presence, and these spheres comprise what is called the causal body. And the causal body is a storehouse of energy. It's a storehouse of resources. It contains the energy of every perfect thought, word, and deed that we have ever expressed in all of our many thousands of lifetimes. It also contains our original endowment that God gave us when our identity was created. And so everything that we will need for our journey through the planes of matter and wherever we go in whatever universes, all the resources required to fulfill that divine destiny, that dharma, are stored here in the causal body, and they're stored according to the energy type, which is described with these different color rings. So energy that is of the nature of the will of God, of the divine blueprint, of power and protection, is stored in the blue sphere. And energy that is of the nature of truth and healing and science and abundance is stored in the green sphere. And energy that is of the nature of wisdom and the illumined mind and enlightenment is stored in the yellow sphere. So all energy types are qualified and stored accordingly. And we see radiating out from the center of the I Am Presence these light rays. And when I use the word light, I'm describing, in the words of the masters, luminous, self-intelligent substance. It is source energy. It actually has the potential, the ability to become anything. It knows everything. It is of the nature of the mind of God. It has infinite potential. And this energy, we're going to trace down from the heart of the I Am Presence as it moves towards the lower vibrations. It's leaving the planes of spirit. We see the little image of the white dove. It's representing the Holy Spirit. And this energy is coming down towards the physical plane. And on the way down, we have the dividing line. The mediator is the Christ consciousness. It's also called the higher mental body. And this is the dividing line between the planes of spirit above and the planes of matter below. And the Christ consciousness is what Jesus came here 2,000 years ago to demonstrate. And his message was very simple and it was very misunderstood. He wanted us to become like he had become, a perfected being, embodying in fullness the Christ consciousness. And when Jesus said, "No man goes to the Father but by me," he wasn't talking about himself personally. He was talking about the Christ consciousness. You can't get from the human level up into the divine level unless you pass through the Christ consciousness. And we follow this light, this source energy, down into the planes of matter. And here we have the physical body, the body temple, and the energy is coming in. And this is the energy that is the energy of life. It's what sustains us. It is the actual life force. It's the source. And it enters through the top of the head and it anchors in what is called a chakra. It's an energy center. And that's where the source energy begins its work, radiating, powering the physical body. And I'm going to show you now the chakra system. And many people are familiar with the concept of chakras. Many people have seen images of chakras, especially students of yoga. And today, invariably, everywhere you look, the colors are wrong because most of the pictures that you will find show red at the bottom, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet at the top. And it's complete nonsense. That was somebody's assumption that just got picked up and copied all over the place. These are the true colors of the chakras when they are perfected and purified, when the light radiates through them with nothing impeding the light, nothing tainting the light, just the purity coming forth. And here in the center, we have the heart chakra. This 7-chakra system is what most people are familiar with. And Saint Germain has revealed to us there is actually an 8th chakra. And it's right behind the heart. It's called the secret chamber of the heart. And it's vibrating in what Saint Germain describes as a cosmic interval. It is a dimension that cannot be touched by anything, and it is completely safe and protected. And in that cosmic interval, in that secret chamber of the heart, we have the anchor point. The light is coming down from above. It's coming down into the chakra. It's anchoring. There's actually a white cube, which is the anchor, and we'll get into that in another teaching later on. And at this anchor point, the focus of the light is so intense, it's like a magnifying glass on a piece of paper out in the sunshine. At the focal point, the paper bursts into a flame. And here, in the focal point of the secret chamber, the light, the luminous self-intelligent substance, bursts into a flame. It's 1/16 of an inch tall. It's called the threefold flame of life. It has 3 plumes, blue one, yellow one, pink one. And we describe these as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We describe these as power, wisdom, and love. We describe these as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. If you are of an Eastern orientation, if you're a student of Hinduism or yoga, you might relate to that. And this little flame, 1/16 of an inch tall, is pulsating and powering the entire human vehicle. That little flame sends its energy into the 7 chakra system. And so when we look at light, ordinary light, and we shine white light through a prism, we see a rainbow come out. And we are taught in science that the 7 colors of the rainbow are just different components of the white light. And when all those components are combined, you get the full expression of the light, and it's completely white. Well, the light that is the source energy also is broken down into its components, just as we saw in the causal body. We saw the different spheres, the different color bands of the causal body, all relating to the different qualities of the different frequency ranges. And so here we have, coming out of the secret chamber of the heart, radiating now into the 7 chakra system, the 3 primary aspects of the white light, blue, yellow, and pink, now being distributed through the chakras, each chakra acting like a transformer and working with a particular frequency, and now differentiating that energy from a trinity into a septenary expression. So there are 7 frequencies being expressed, and each one working through a particular chakra. So the white light coming from the source, from the heart of the I Am Presence, is now in the human body, lowering its vibration into the physical plane. The chakras take that energy and move it into the glandular system. And if we study anatomy and physiology, we discover that there are 7 glandular systems, and they each correspond to one of the chakras. And when we look at the types of energy expression, we see the examples in human behavior of how that energy is expressing. For simplicity, we call these expressions the 7 rays. And so there's a different ray coming through each chakra. The first ray is the blue ray. And we saw blue, yellow, and pink, while the second ray is the yellow in the crown, and the pink one is the third in the heart. Then we have the 4th ray, which is the energy of purity of the Divine Mother in the base chakra. 5th ray is the green ray, expressing through the 3rd eye. 6th ray is the energy of ministration and service. It's the energy of transmutation. It's the energy of the resurrection flame. It's expressing through the solar plexus chakra. And the 7th ray energy of violet ray, expressing through the seat of the soul chakra. Now, we want to become heart-centered. We want to be expressing loving kindness. We want to really work on perfecting our heart. And so the heart becomes the focal point for many of our meditations. It becomes a focal point for much of our concentration. We want to be not so much living in our head or living in our other chakras, is getting focus in the heart chakra. And from there, recognize that energy below the heart is often expressed in more animal instincts and lower nature, and energy above the heart is energy that is expressed in more divine expressions. And if we look at the behaviors of people, we will notice that often, just looking at their lifestyles and how they occupy their time and what they put their attention upon, that it is energy expressing through these lower chakras and manifesting impulses of the lower nature. And our journey into divinity, into becoming the ascended master that we're here to become, requires that our energy become more polarized into the upper chakras. So we go first into the throat chakra. And we begin studying the throat chakra with the science of the spoken word. And we learn that it's the power center. This is where creation begins. We actually create what we speak. And this goes back to the ancient teaching. In the beginning was the Word. And nothing that was made without the Word. And we read that in the Bible, but the Bible originally obtained that information from earlier sources in ancient India. It's the science of creation. God spoke the universe into existence. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. As alchemists of the sacred fire, we understand that as lux fiat. When we say the words, "Let there be light," we are actually projecting light as luminous, self-intelligent substance out into the world, and it can become a very powerful and perfect expression. This concept of creating what we speak is foundational to working with the sacred fire and really understanding how the world comes to be the way that it is. And you can like it or dislike it or argue against it, and many people don't want to accept this in the beginning. But the reality is, we are all in charge of our own experience. We are in charge of our own creation. We are responsible for everything that we do and everything that is done to us. And the sooner that we accept that and get a handle on that, the sooner we're going to make the kind of progress that we're looking for. Now, this idea of the Word is really a powerful concept, and it cannot be overstated. It needs to be repeated and contemplated. And two examples I want to bring to the attention of the students is the fact that the truth is hidden in plain sight. And most of us in our lives already have come across experiences where this is very evident and we haven't taken the time to notice. So I'm going to talk about two little simple concepts. One is magic words. Ever watch a magician and ask yourself, why does a magician have magic words? Why would they say something like abracadabra? Is that even a word? You can go to Wikipedia, you can Google it, you will discover that abracadabra is from an ancient language similar to Aramaic in the Middle East. And the literal translation of abracadabra is, "I create what I speak." And I think that's kind of interesting that a magician would want to say that while he was performing magic. And there is real magic. And I don't mean television illusion and entertainment. There is real magic. And you can call it a miracle or you can call it whatever you want. It's actually sacred science. Nothing operates outside the laws of nature, outside the laws of cosmos. Everything operates according to divine principles. We just need to learn those principles. And one of those principles is we create what we speak. The other example that I think is really telling is this habit that people have of saying things like knock on wood or touch wood or don't jinx it. And I'd never had this tradition in my home growing up. And I remember in grade school, I never heard this before, but after I left high school, I started to hear it. And I started to ask people about it. Why do you say touch wood, knock on wood? What is this all about? I heard many different answers. But basically, I came to understand that people said it as a superstition, you know, like cross your fingers or some silly thing like that. Like crossing your fingers is going to be lucky. Anyway, touch wood was supposed to nullify the potential hazard after you spoke something that you didn't really want to happen. So if you said something, how come Johnny's lady was supposed to be here an hour ago? Hope he didn't have a car accident. Whoops, knock on wood. Because if Johnny had a car accident and I said those words, I might feel guilty because I might feel like I caused it.
Right.
Is that superstition or what is that? Is there a belief deep down in your subconscious that your words actually have that kind of power? And if you believe that, then why would you say such a thing? Why wouldn't you just be more responsible with your speaking? Oops, There's that word responsible. I got to take responsibility for my life, for my energy, for all the energy flowing through me, through all of my chakras, through my mind, through my thought, through my imagination, through everything I think or say or do. I have to take responsibility for that. If I don't, I got to go and play in a world of superstition and call on stupid omens and don't jinx it just in case I said something wrong. It's kind of a silly way to be. And so when you think about being a student in the Ascended Masters, I think really you would want to take on a different orientation about how you govern your energies. And I've coined the phrase, discipline is the foundation of freedom. I found it to be absolutely true. If you're willing to discipline your energies and take responsibility for those energies, you will not be a slave to the impulses that unconsciously radiate through you. And that's an important concept. No longer a slave to those impulses. You get to choose how that energy gets expressed. Yeah, it's work. Nothing happens without work, but it's absolutely worth it. So we have the energy of the throat chakra that the masters tell us is the power center, creating what we speak. And therefore, we really want to start to pay attention to, what do we speak? How do we speak? What do we speak about? Do we spend our time in gossip, spreading rumors? Do we spend our time in imagination, in wondering? I find most people spend their time in reporting. The endless reporting about what's happening in their life and telling their friends what they did and what so-and-so did and what happened and the dog did this and mom did that and Johnny said this. Most of the dialogue that we see is reporting. And we're going to go into a different dimension of speaking. We're going to go into creating. We're going to really go into the science of the spoken word in another video we're going to produce. And talk about how to really become responsible with our speaking and become powerful with our speaking and discover things that are really good to speak.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael Seegers, for that in-depth presentation of the chart of the divine presence. And if you would kindly give an overview of what you shared, that could be really helpful just to bring together the lesson that you offered us today.
Yes, we'll do that real quickly. Just going back to this chart given to us by the Ascended Master Saint Germain is a diagram of our spiritual anatomy, and it represents the totality of a human being in 7 dimensions. The lower figure represents our physical body here in the physical plane, moving up to the mediator, the Christ consciousness, the dividing line between matter and spirit. Moving higher into the planes of spirit, we come to the source, who we truly are, the I am presence, the I am that I am, which is the individualized expression of the one being that is all of existence, which is God, which we are a part of. We are just a drop in that ocean of being. And the I am presence is surrounded by the spheres of the causal body, which contains all the energy of all of our perfect thoughts, words, and deeds of all of our past incarnations. It also contains the treasure house, the storehouse of all the gifts and all the blessings that God has given to us so that we would have everything that we need for our journey throughout all of our lifetimes. And the life force energy flowing out of the heart of the I am presence, the luminous self-intelligent substance that is omniscient, that does know everything, that does contain the mind of God, that has the potential to become anything, is coming down from the source into the physical body And it is the energy that powers the physical body. It anchors here in the physical body in a chakra that is called the secret chamber of the heart. In that secret chamber, it focuses very intensely and it bursts forth into a flame, the threefold flame of power, wisdom, and love, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. That energy is radiating out into the 7 chakra system. And we see that flow of energy into the upper chakras, into the lower chakras, expressing the qualities of those chakras as that energy is being stepped down in vibration into its various frequency components, moving into the glandular system and powering the human body. And we are wanting to become more focused in our heart-centered, expressing loving kindness, and begin to pay attention to the throat chakra as the power center, and discovering the truth that our words have power, that we create what we speak, as God created the universe into existence when he spoke the words, "Let there be light." And we're going to move into the science of the spoken word in our next presentation.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for everything you've offered tonight, and we very much look forward to coming together again soon to speak about the science of the spoken word. And so remember to be kind to yourself and to speak compassionately and to honor your whole self instead of just the part that you can see. Remember that thoughts are things that bring form to the life that we lead, and ultimately we get to decide how we're going to show up in this world. Our past choices have created consequences for better or for worse, and by learning these techniques we can transmute some of that energy, and that is what we will be going into next time. So thank you for joining in, and we will see you again soon. Have a great night. Toodaloo.
Thank you. Have a good night.